This video and all content on this channel is performed by a pest control professional, and it is always recommended to hire a pest control pro in your area to perform any pest control in or outside your home. Pesticides can harm you and your loved ones. Anyone who is performing the information in this video is doing so at their own risk. If you decide to try the info provided in this video, please always check with the local laws in your area and read the labels of any product you use. The label is the law.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Akers again with Green Acres Pest Control. And today we're going to talk about bed bugs. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you really like it, consider subscribing to my channel. But today is going to be a little bit of a different video. We're going to talk about what to do when Crossfire is not killing your bed bugs. Like I said, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you really like it, consider subscribing to the channel. And don't forget, I live stream every Thursday night where I can answer any of your questions that you have about bed bugs, roaches, fleas, any kind of bug problem, clover mites, whatever. Show up, ask me anything pest control. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I have no problem answering your questions. But today we're going to talk about what to do when Crossfire is not working. Now, so for those of you that don't know, Crossfire is a pesticide that is labeled for the treatment of bed bugs. Bed bugs are really bad everywhere now. I don't know if you've been living under a rock, but bed bugs are pretty bad. They've made a huge resurgence in the United States, Canada, over the pond over there in England and European countries, and just really all over the world. The bed bugs have really started to get a hold. And Crossfire is one of the pesticides that I use that actually does a really good job controlling bed bugs. If you're interested, check out my Amazon page below. I have listed all kinds of different things for different bug problems. If you've got, cockroaches, if you've got fleas, if you've got bed bugs, if you've got ladybugs, all kinds of different things. Just go to that page and take a look and see what I've got there. And it's a really good compiled way that you can find all the different pesticides that I use in my business. Crossfire is something I use. I actually have a tank mixed up in the back. I got to do bed bugs today. And so it's something that I keep on hand all the time. I love it. I honestly started using it about 5 years ago and have never looked back. I have pretty much nearly 100% success with it. It's incredibly good chemical for bed bug control. So, I talk real highly about it. I talk about it all the time. In fact, I've probably gone over the label 40 or 50 times on my live streams with people when they come in and ask questions about Crossfire. But what happens when it doesn't work? All right, I've had some issue where Crossfire didn't eliminate the problem 100%, which is what we're trying to achieve. You don't want to leave even a 0.1% of bed bugs behind, because in just a few months you're going to be completely infested again as if you never treated it all. So it's very important to get 100% knockdown, kill every single bed bug that you have in your house. And so what do you do when it doesn't work? So I've got a lot of comments. Well, not a lot. I've got a few comments from different people on my YouTube videos. You can go through and read the comments on my videos. I read every comment anyone ever posts on a video. I read every single one of them. And I've noticed that I have had a few where people say, they've tried Crossfire and they're still getting bit by bed bugs. And so I'm going to go over, this is actually going to be a little mini series on what to do if Crossfire is not working. This is just part one of the video series to try to help people control their bed bug problem when Crossfire doesn't work. So there are other pesticides out there that will kill bed bugs if Crossfire is not working, like Apprehend. Now, I'm not sure. Last time I checked, the only people selling Apprehend were only those who sell to licensed and pest control technicians like me. You might be able to get it from somewhere else now, but from what I understand, you have to be licensed to buy Apprehend. It's not restricted use or anything like that. It's just one of those things where they only sell to certain suppliers and those suppliers only sell to us. So it may not even be an option, Apprehend, and I wouldn't recommend Apprehend for just anybody to use, because it's a very precise pesticide. You're using a mold spore to kill the bed bugs, and if you apply it at too much of a PSI, it can kill the mold and cause it not to work, or it would not go into the right spots. And so it's a very touchy pesticide. I don't recommend anybody use it unless they're licensed and they understand how to use it. Even those that are licensed, a lot of them don't know how to use it. But anyway, we're talking about Crossfire, what to do when Crossfire doesn't work. So I've done homes. I'll tell you what I've done. So several homes that I've treated over the last 5-6 years, I have had to go back and do a Crossfire retreat. Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, he just said if Crossfire doesn't work, if you just go and use the same pesticide that doesn't work again, then it's not going to work that time either, right? There's a saying about doing the same thing over and over and achieving the same result. But in every single instance where the Crossfire wasn't working, the customer was bringing bed bugs back into their home from a location that they weren't really sure they were bringing bed bugs home from. So let me give you an example. One of my customers in Lynchburg, Virginia, he had an issue with bed bugs getting into his home. I went and I treated once, made a big difference, did not get rid of all of his bed bugs. And this does happen in very extremely infested situations, which he did have one of those. When I went in, there were probably several hundred bed bugs on each bed. It was pretty severe infestation. So it does, sometimes you do need to do a retreat in 3 to 4 weeks, whatever, after you do your initial treatment, if they're just really, really, really bad. And he did have a really bad infestation. So I went back, I did a second treatment. The third treatment, when I went back for a third treatment, he called and I went back for a third time. This time he had very little bed bugs, next to nothing. I mean, I couldn't find a live one in the house at all, but he had bug bites. He swore that they were, that he had bed bugs. And so what we did was he actually followed the school bus home one day because he had a suspicion. He went through the neighborhood and found that 5 out of 10 of the houses that the school bus was stopping at were throwing away their bedroom furniture, their sofas, stuff like that. And so what he did was he started putting his son in his car, and taking his son back and forth to school himself. So he was not riding the bus home or taking the bus to school. When he performed this action, all the bed bugs died off. He didn't have any more at all. So through process of elimination, we figured out that the bed bugs were actually coming from the school bus. So this is a really common thing, especially during the school year, is children will bring bed bugs into the home from other children that are on the bus. So you get on the school bus and you toss your backpack under the chair or on the chair beside you, maybe next to your friend's backpack, and the bed bugs crawl from their backpack onto yours. And then you take your backpack home and it's got bed bugs in it, and you end up infesting your home with bed bugs. So this is a real common thing. People travel all around and they take bed bugs back and forth to homes all the time. I have a customer of mine who works with a friend, and the guy he works with has bed bugs, but he's his ride to work. And so the guy has to ride to work with him, and he brings bed bugs and gets them in his car, and he ended up infesting his own house with the bed bugs that were in the truck. And so you may need to tell your friend to find an alternative way to work. This is one of the reasons that Crossfire doesn't work most of the time. It's because they're coming from somewhere you just don't realize where. Bed bugs will travel on people. This is how we get bed bugs. So check different people that have come into the house. Are you getting Amazon deliveries? Are you getting Instacart deliveries? These are ways that bed bugs can get into your home, because people who work for these services like Instacart and DoorDash and stuff, they get bed bugs from their automobiles, because these people, when they go home, they don't use their car 100% of the time for DoorDash. They may be using their car to, go to the supermarket for themselves, or visit friends, or help a friend move. And then they end up infesting their trunk with bed bugs. They put your items you purchased, whether it's, Chinese takeout or, toilet paper from Walmart. They put your stuff in the back of their car, and then that stuff ends up coming to your home. And then they drop off those boxes and those bags inside your home. So then you'll have bed bugs in your house. So, pay attention to those things. And there's another reason that Crossfire doesn't work. And this is probably, with everybody that's commented on my channel, this is probably about 98% of the people do this incorrectly. Crossfire, for those that don't know, comes in a 13-ounce bottle. This is the way that I usually recommend people buy it, because I buy a gallon of it and I use 130 ounces. That's how much I use. Mixes 10 gallons of Crossfire. That's really expensive. Most people are not going to want to buy that. But the little bottles, the 13-ounce one-use, single-use bottles, people are trying to divide it in half and quarters. They're trying to change the mix ratio. And that's really important. It's really, really, really important to not tamper with the mix ratio of a 13-ounce bottle of Crossfire. Mix a gallon. Don't be cheap. I'm teaching you how to get rid of bed bugs effectively. And mixing your pesticide correctly is the number one most important thing you need to do to get rid of bed bugs. You need to make sure you're mixing your chemical correctly. If the label says to mix 13 ounces to a gallon, mix 13 ounces to a gallon. What you do is, and I've got videos on this, which I'll post up here, wherever YouTube puts a little question mark. But you take it, you pour your gallon container, your sprayer, half full of water. And then you pour your Crossfire in that water, and then you pour it the rest of the way full of water. That way you've got a whole gallon of finished solution, because 13 ounces is a lot. It's actually, the math doesn't actually work out to, it's like 115 ounces of water, and 13 ounces of Crossfire is 128 ounces, which is like, or whatever, is a gallon. And so you need to mix it correctly. It's got to be 13 ounces within that gallon mix solution is how you mix it. Don't take and mix half a bottle trying to mix half a gallon of Crossfire or a quarter gallon of Crossfire. Because I know what people do is they read the label and they say that it needs to be used within 24 hours of mixing. That's correct. The stuff will separate. It's not as effective. And that is normal, with Crossfire. You do need to use it up. But don't try to half mix it, because it won't be effective. It will not work. You will not get rid of your bed bugs, and you'll just make yourself frustrated because what you're doing is not working, because you're listening to me and I'm telling you this is how you do it, but you're not doing what I tell you to do. You're actually not mixing the chemical correctly. You're buying the right tool, but you're not using it correctly. It's like buying a screwdriver and turning around and using it as a hammer. You're not going to be as effective unless you just get a hammer and use a hammer. This is the way that Crossfire works. You need to buy the 13-ounce bottle. You need to mix it to a gallon of water. You need to do it correctly. Follow your label. The label is the law. Now, if you really want to mix less, if you're worried you're going to have excess chemical, like a gallon of Crossfire or half a gallon left over or whatever, which you may, then buy yourself the gallon mix and then mix it. It's got a graduated cylinder on the side. It's got and so you can mix it exactly the way you need to mix it based on the measurements on the side of the bottle. And that's the most effective way to mix if you're going to mix it. Don't try to eyeball a 13 ounce bottle. Don't try to use kitchen measurements, because weight and volume are two different things. In geometry, you learn this, is that weight is not the same as volume. Liquid weight is not the same as mass weight. So your grams is not the same as ounces. And with ounces, you have solid ounces and then you have liquid ounces. And not only that, the viscosity of different liquids is going to be different. So when you're mixing ounces in a kitchen, it's assuming you're mixing things like oils or water or something. They're not figuring on you mixing a chemical, a pesticide. So these pesticides are actually measured out by the pesticide ounce weight. All right? You need to make sure that you mix whatever the bottle says, do what the bottle says. Even if you think it's wrong, it's right. It's always right. So, stay tuned for part 2 of this series of what to do when Crossfire doesn't work. And I'm going to go over some other things here later on. So you guys have a really great day. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, live stream every Thursday night, and usually after 9 o'clock Eastern time, because I've got children. I live in Virginia, so I make sure they get to bed so I can actually sit down and talk with you and concentrate on your questions. So I look forward to seeing all of you. It's probably the highlight of my week is when I get to sit down with everybody and talk about bugs online. So you guys have a great one. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.